Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans, I'm Keith Oneshot, and this is my dramatic reading series, and today we will be covering Batman, The Rules of Engagement from DC Comics. We start this story off with Batman in the desert on a horse with no name. Then he says, "Here." We then see that Batman is with Catwoman, and that her horse has passed out from being pushed past its limits. Selina then looks down at her horse, who is too weak to continue. Then she says, "She was a good horse." Then Batman replies, "Yeah." Then Selina says, "She deserved better." Then Batman pulls out a flask, has a drink. Then he says, "Yeah." We then see Selina point her gun at the horse to end its suffering. Then we hear a loud bang! Selina then walks up to Batman and says, "One horse. This heat. 14 hours. Then Batman replies, "I have it at 15. Could be 14. Then Selina grabs Batman's flask. She takes a sip. Then she says, "That's not too bad." Then Batman says, "No." Then, as Selina gets onto the back of Batman's horse, she says, "Alright." Then, as the two ride away into the desert, Batman says, "I love you, Cat." Then Selina replies, "I love you too, Bat." We then go to Wayne Manor, where Jason Todd is trying to pull his jacket away from Ace the Bat Hound. As he pulls, Jason says, "Let go!" As he watches Jason struggle, Dick Grayson says, "The dog's going to win." Then Duke Thomas says, "Oh, definitely." Then Jason tells them both, "The dog is not going to win!" Then Grayson says, "Jay, he's trained. You just have to tell him to let go." Then Jason shouts, "Ace, let go!" Then Grayson says, "Okay, maybe you have to win." Jason then says, "He's not going to win. I'm going to win." Then Damian Wayne, who's reading a book, says, "Children." Then Grayson says, "He's just lucky it's not the cow." And Duke says, "There's a cow?" Then Grayson replies, "You haven't seen the cow?" Then Duke says, "How big is this place?" Then Alfred walks in and says, "The mansion, like this family, is as large as it needs to be, gentlemen. Ace, let go." Then suddenly, Ace lets go, and Jason falls down. Then Alfred says to Ace, "Good boy." Then Grayson says, "Hey Alfred, where does he keep the cow?" Then, back in the desert, we see that Batman and Selina have arrived in the city. Once there, they are greeted by Agent 1, Tiger King, who tells them, "You should not be here." Then Batman replies, "I know, but I've got some business to see to in Kadime, so here I am." Tiger then feeds Batman's horse. Then he says, "Kadime is not a country for business. Kadime is a country for war, sealed off, abandoned by the world, by your leagues of justice. As you well know, it does not welcome superheroes." Then Batman says, "Dick Grayson says you're the best intel man there is. The Tiger King of Canadar. A man who knows what needs to be known. Can you get us in or not?" Then Tiger replies, "Dick Grayson is an idiot." We then go back to Wayne Manor, where Grayson says, "What?" Then Alfred tells him, "And I am afraid that is not all. Prior to leaving on this illegal mission to Kadime, Master Wayne, he doesn't want me to tell you this, but I have judged it important for you to assess his current state of, well, that is, Master Wayne." Then Grayson says, "Let me guess. He's been keeping another deep dark secret from everyone." Then Duke says, "All his friends and colleagues who trusted him." Then Jason says, "And now, that secret threatens to destroy everyone and everything." Then Damian says, "Obviously." Then Alfred tells them all. Master Wayne proposed to Miss Kyle. She has accepted. Then the entire room freezes. Then Damian says, "What the hell did you just say?" We then go back to the desert, where a huge guard tells Tiger, "Look, you know me, Tiger, a long time. For the kind of money you are offering, I'd open the gate for any man. But that is no man. That is Batman." Then Batman says, "Yeah," as he starts to get off his horse. Then Selina leans forward and says, "Bat." Then Batman replies, "Cat." Then Selina says, "Please." Then Batman replies, "Alright, but be nice." Catwoman then kisses Batman. Then she says, "I'm always nice." Then she gets off of the horse and walks up to the guard. Then Catwoman says, "Meow." The guard then crosses his arms. Then he says, "I am the guard in the desert, appointed by the Justice League of America. I turn away heroes. I turn away villains. I turn away armies. And if he wants to fight, to bleed, I will turn away the Batman. But you, little girl, please, what are we supposed to do now? Do you want to dance?" Then Catwoman pulls out her whip and says, yes, I want to dance." We then go back to Wayne Manor, where Alfred says, "This was revealed to me in strict confidence. I would expect that. Then, Alfred gets a call on his phone. Then he says, "My apologies. This is not a call I am permitted to overlook. One moment." Then Alfred says on the phone, "Oh yes, Master Clark. I see, of course. Yes, well, that is most unfortunate. No, our communicator is, I'm sure, perfectly functional. The problem is, Master Bruce is sadly incapacitated at the moment. Scarecrow gas, yes, in his system. Resurfacing. He'll be out for hours, perhaps days. Tough days, yes. As soon as he recovers, I will inform him, of course. He will want to take immediate action, one presumes." Then Alfred ends the call. Alfred then tells the family, "That was Superman. He reported that 2 minutes ago, there was an unauthorized incursion into Kadaim. The Justice League is taking immediate action, gathering the troops, so to speak. He was inquiring as to why Batman was not answering the call." We then go back to the desert, where the guard is now on the ground, covered in blood. Then the guard says, "There are rules. He agreed to the rules. They all have. He knows. He knows he cannot come through. There are rules." Then Selina steps on the guard's head. Then Batman says, "Is that nice?" Then Selina replies, "Nag, nag, nag." Then, as they walk into the cave, Tiger says, "He is right, you know. There are rules." Then Batman says, "I know. I wrote them." Then Tiger says, "What I mean is, they will not follow you in. This is true. But when you come out, are you worried, Batman? The UN, your military, all your super friends, they will be waiting. You will be arrested at the very least, at the worst." Then Batman says, "Tiger, you're the man who knows what needs to be known. Do you know what we're doing here?" Then Tiger replies, "Yes." Then Batman says, "Do you honestly think we're getting out alive?" Then Tiger responds, "No." Then Batman says, "Yeah, well then, you probably understand. Right now, I'm not worried about my super friends." We then go back to Wayne Manor, where Jason tells Duke, "This is all your fault." Then Duke replies, "What? How is this my fault?" Then Jason says, "You're the latest Robin. You're supposed to, whatever, brighten his dark side and all that crap, so he doesn't propose to a villain and run off and do this." Then Duke says, "Jay, what? Dude, when you were Robin, you got beat to death, then came back as a vigilante villain, and you're telling me to brighten his dark side? Not to mention, you tire-stealing genius, I'm not Robin. He is." Then Duke points to Damian. Then Damian scratches his head and says, "Thomas is. He's right. I'm Robin. It's my fault." Then Damian starts crying, and Grayson goes to check on him. Then Grayson says, "Damian, kid, you okay?" Then Duke says, "Is he? He doesn't." Then Jason says, "Okay, don't panic. This is happening. That's a tear. We're all dead." Grayson then says to Damian, "Come on, what's going on?" Then Damian says, "I know." Then Grayson replies, "What is it? What do you know? How can I help?" Then Damian wipes away his tears and says, "I know why, Father. Why he would want to go to Kadaim before he marries that woman. Kadaim is... that's where she's hiding." Then Grayson says, "What? Where who's hiding?" Then Damian tells the family, "Talia Al Ghul, the daughter of the demon. My mother." We then go to Kadaim with the daughter of the demon, Talia Al Ghul. Then, a servant of Talia's comes to her room and tells her, "Ma'am, we just received word. The Batman has arrived in Kadaim." Then Talia says, "I see. Please prepare my swords." Catwoman and Batman, both standing back to back, as Catwoman says, "That's a lot." Then Batman replies, "I've seen more." Catwoman then tells Batman, "I didn't say I haven't seen more. I'm just saying that's a lot." Then Batman replies, "I wasn't trying to say." Then Catwoman interrupts him by saying, "I know what you were trying to say." Then Batman replies, "Look, you're right. It's a lot." Then Catwoman tells him, "Now you're just making fun of me." Batman then says, "Cat, I may be wearing a leather bat costume, but do I look crazy enough to make fun of you?" Then Catwoman replies, "I don't know, Bat. Do I look dumb enough to not know what a lot is?" We then see that the two are standing back to back, ready to take on a lot of assassins. As Batman gets ready to fight, he tells Selina, "No, you look lovely." Then Selina replies, "Sure, you say that now. Wait till I have their blood all over me." We then go to a nearby area, where we see Talia Al Ghul testing out the sharpness of her sword, as she says to one of her guards, "The woman?" Then the guard answers, "Selina Kyle, the Catwoman." Then Talia says, "They are together." And the guard answers, "Yes, they are to be married." Then Talia cuts her own hand, as she says, Oh, the poor thing. Tell the men, it is fine they do what they do. Then the guard replies, Yes, mistress. We then go back to Batman and Selina. As the two are fighting the soldiers, Batman says, They're not using guns. Why? Then Selina replies, How do I know? Aren't you the world's greatest detective? Then, as Batman kicks a soldier and breaks another's arm, he says, They want us alive, to take us somewhere. Then, Selina wraps her whip around a soldier's neck as she replies to Batman, If that were true, they could just, I don't know, ask. As Batman fights more soldiers, he says, Hard for them to ask. The balance of their jaws on my knuckles. It's off. They don't have tongues. Then, Selina slams the soldier onto the ground with her whip wrapped around his neck as she says, Well, that's fairly decent detectiving. Don't know if it's the greatest. Batman dodges an attack. Then he says, These are the silent soldiers of the pit. This is her. Then, Selina kicks a soldier as she replies, The X. Then Batman boots a soldier in the face and says, Cat. Ugh. Then Selina tosses the soldier by the arm as she says, Yeah, definitely the X. Then Batman knocks the soldier out as he tells Selina, She's not just someone I once. Talia Al Ghul is the most dangerous woman alive. Then Selina knocks out a soldier as she replies, The most dangerous woman alive. Really? Then Batman elbows the soldier and says, That's not what I was. You're not a danger. Not to me. Then a soldier grabs Selina. Then Selina says, Well, let's see how this thing with the X goes. Then Batman breaks the soldier's arm on the ground as he says, We'll be fine. Selina then chokes the soldier who grabbed her as she replies, So far, she's sent an army of tongueless soldiers after us. How fine is that? We then see Batman knock out another soldier as he says, Have I mentioned how lovely you look? Then, Selina continues to choke out the soldier as she says, Oh, Bat, you're in so much trouble. We then go to the entrance of Kadaim, where Superman is flying in front of the entrance as he tells Damian Wayne, No! Then Damian replies, Everyone fights you with kryptonite. I'd use magic. I'd draw a circle on the ground, then a pointy star, chat with some demon, blah blah blah, my soul, blah blah blah, presto changeo, abracadabra, you're dead. We then see that Grayson is there as well, as he says, Damian! Then Superman also tells Damian, Pal, believe me, you could use the magic, but think, if you kill me, or try to kill me, I'm not sure John's gonna want to go around adventuring with you anymore. Then Damian shrugs his shoulders and says, Tuh! Then Clark gets on one knee and tells Damian, Honestly, I can't let you in. I'm sorry. I'd like to. We have a deal with the UN. No one in or out. We have to honor it. Why your father? Then Clark pauses. Then he says, There's an alien invasion in Central City. Gotta go. Then Superman takes off flying into the sky. Now that Superman is gone, Damian says, Perhaps. Then Grayson tells Damian, He can still see you from Central City. Then Damian replies, I know. Then Damian walks up the steps, turns around and says, Mother and Father are talking inside. When they are done, they will exit and explain themselves. Then Damian sits on the steps and says, I will wait. Then Grayson tells Damian, And I'll wait with you. Then he sits down next to him. Then Damian says, Thank you, Richard, for coming when others would not, and for this. Then Grayson tells Damian, You and me, kiddo, from the beginning, and all the way to the end. We then go back to Batman and Catwoman, who are both on the ground. Then, as Batman stands up, he pulls a knife out of him that's covered in blood. Then he says, I was wrong. Then, as Selina catches her breath, she tells Batman, I know, most dangerous woman alive. Please. Then Batman says, They're not here to take us. They're here to tire us. We then see Talia Al Ghul approach the two, as she says, Detective. Then Batman replies, Talia. Then, as Talia walks over, with her swords drawn, she says, Do you have a sword? Then Batman answers, No. Then Talia tells him, Well then, get one. Then, Selina gives Talia a dirty look, as she says, The X? Then Batman says, Talia, I'm not here to fight. Then Talia replies, Get one. Then Selina says, Yeah, definitely the X. Batman then looks over and says, Talia, please. Then suddenly, Talia swings her swords at Batman as she shouts, Fine! Batman does his best to dodge as he says, We're here for a woman, Holly Robinson. She killed 237 people. Catwoman took the blame. She fled from Gotham. We tracked her here to you. Then Talia strikes her swords down, and Batman barely blocks her attack with his bracers. Then he shouts, Let us see her! Talk to her, and we'll leave. Then Talia tells Batman, yes, this is what you will do. Then Talia slams Batman into the ground and stabs him in the back. Then, as Batman screams, Talia says, no, you leave. Then Selina shouts, Bat, as she goes to check on Bruce. Then Talia says to Selina, do you have a sword? Selina then turns around and yells, are you insane? Then Talia replies, do you have a sword? Then Selina says, no. Then Talia replies, get one. Then Selina pulls the sword out of Batman's back as she says, okay, got one. Then, as Talia and Selina stand ready to fight, Talia says, good, then shall we? Then Selina replies, meow. Talia and Selina both scream as their swords clang into each other. Then the sword fight carries over to a nearby stairwell as Talia shouts, the day I took my first step, my father did not smile. He did not congratulate me. He did not take a picture and tell me how proud he was. No, when he saw me walk, my mother gave me a sword. Then he slapped me with the back of his hand, and I fell to the ground. It is my first memory. The shock of it. Blood in my mouth, on my tongue, bitter, wet. I wiped my lip. I looked up at the demon. Fight, he said, or die. So I fought, every minute, every day. Sometimes I won, sometimes I died. And when I died, he'd toss me in the pit. I'd wake, I'd watch skin stretching over rotted wounds. I'd scream, and he'd fetch me out. I was so tired, and he'd make me walk, and he'd slap me again. Bitter, wet, then again, the sword in my hand. That is how I learned. That is how I know that you, for coming here, with him, you will die. Then, as the sword fight makes its way down the stairs, Catwoman says, well, that's very impressive. I didn't know my father. Then, Selina kicks Talia off the stairs. Then she leaps down, ready to strike at Talia, as she shouts, no one ever gave me a sword. No one ever gave me anything. Selina then kicks up a sword, as she tells Talia, I've maybe picked up one of these things. I don't know, once, maybe twice before now. Maybe. Then, as the fight continues, Selina says, so how impressive is that? We then go to the entrance of Kadaim at night, where Grayson says to Damian, why do you think he did it? Then Damian replies, I do not know, I do not care. Then Grayson says, yeah, well probably. The better question is, why didn't he tell us? He should have at least told us. Then Damian replies, I do not know, and I do not care. Then Grayson says, come on, kiddo, you can't. Then Damian says, what my father chooses to do is a choice of my father. Then Grayson says, what? What does that even mean? Then Damian says, it means he's Batman, and I'm Robin. Then Grayson replies, wait, did you actually say that? Like, out loud say it? He's Batman, I'm Robin? Those were the words that were in your mind and exited your mouth? Seriously? Then Damian says, shut up, Richard. Then Grayson replies, maybe he didn't want to tell us, 'cause he thought you'd come back at him with that. I have to tell you, son, I'm going to ask her to marry me. Holy moly, that's wonderful, because you're Batman and I'm Robin. Then Damian says, do you not understand? Shut up, Richard. Then Grayson smiles and says, fine, I'll shut up, I will. Then Damian says, yes, you will. Then Grayson replies, because you're Robin and I'm Nightwing. Then Damian says, I hate you. Then Grayson tells him, yeah, you do, because... We then go back to Selina and Talia battling, as Talia says, so, you are from nothing? You are no one, and you wish to marry the detective? Then Talia knocks Selina down and says, is this not laughable? Then Selina replies, I'm not laughing. Then Talia looks down at Selina and says, to be married is to be a partner, an equal partner. Do you think yourself equal to him? Then Selina strikes back and says, I do. Then Talia says, really? You think that you? Well then, now at least I'm laughing. Then, as the fight continues, Selina says, is it so funny? I mean, look at you, and you've tried. Doesn't that mean you think you're his equal? Then Talia replies, I've tried, because in all the world, only the detective possibly is my equal. Then Selina says with a smile, all the world, darling. You think this is the best there is? The man is broken, all the way from the start cracked. He's going to always put a vow he took as a 10-year-old child, a vow to war on crime. Whatever that is, he'll always take that vow over anyone. As much as you or I love him, As much as I love him, as much as I want him to love me, I'll always be second to a child's idiotic fantasy. This is a world of Supermen and Mr. Terrifics. Batman, first justice, he'll betray you. He'll betray me. If you think of yourself as the best, and you're looking for the best, whatever he is, Talia, I swear he's not that. We then see Selina getting the best of Talia and backing her into a wall. As Selina says, what he is? All he is? He's just a stupid man I stupidly love. We then go back to the desert with Grayson and Damian. As Grayson says, can I tell you what I think, kiddo? Why he did it. Why he didn't tell us. Then Damian says, you can say what you want. Then Grayson says, I know. What I mean is, can I tell it? Without you interrupting? You know, going all, I'm Robin on me? Then Damian says, you're such a child. Then Grayson says, you're 10. Then Damian replies, I'm 13. Then Grayson says, whatever. Anyway, here's what I think happened. Not saying it did, but I know him pretty well. So take it for what it might be worth. He wants to be happy. Then Damian says, Father is happy. And Grayson replies, no, kiddo, he's not. And the reason he's not is the reason he's not telling us, or told us. Look, Bruce is a lot of things. World's greatest detective, the Cape Crusader, the Dark Knight, all of it. But what he's not is selfish. He gives whatever he has. You fought with him, you know. Whatever happens, he bleeds first. But being happy, that's not bleeding. That's not giving. That's asking for something. And it's not easy for Batman to ask. We then go back to the sword fight with Talia and Selina. As Talia says, you love him. Then Selina replies, I do. Then Talia says, then you're a fool. Then Selina replies, I am. Then Talia kicks Selina back and says, yes, well, aren't we all? Then, as Talia stands over Selina, Talia tells her, you fought well. Maybe after I kill you, I will do as the demon does and put you in the pit. When you scream, I will fetch you out, and we will try this again. Then, Talia puts her sword to Selina's throat, and Selina grabs the blade, cutting her hand, as she tells Talia, oh honey, you don't know? I've only got 9 lives, and I ain't wasting one on you. Selina hops down. Then we see Holly Robinson say, Selina. Then Talia tells Selina, I will kill you. Then, as Selina stands over Talia, Selina says, Talia, I have to talk to Holly for a sec. You mind holding my sword? Then Selina stabs the sword in Talia's back, and Talia screams. Then Selina walks over to Holly, and Holly says, I killed 237 people. You told them it was you to protect me, even when I ran here, and she protects me. And now after all we've been through, Selina. We then see Talia pull the sword out of her back as she screams. Then Holly hugs Selina and tells her, you're going to make me confess, so you can be with him, so you can be happy with him. Then Selina tells Holly, no, Holly, no, never. I'm not going to make you. We then see Batman sitting next to Talia, as Batman says, Talia. And Talia replies, Detective. Then Selina tells Holly, but I want him. Want this so much I have to. All we've been through since we were kids. Holly, I'm asking you, please will you help me? Then Talia says to Batman, so this is your betrothed. Then Batman says, huh. Then Talia says, I like her. We then go to the entrance of Gadime, where Batman and Catwoman walk out. And Batman says, boys. And Catwoman says, meow. Then, as Grayson and Damian help Bruce walk, Bruce says, Alfred. And Grayson replies, yeah. Then Bruce says, I should've. And Grayson replies, yeah, you should've. Then Damian says, Father. And Bruce replies, Damian, Then Damian says, are you happy? Then Bruce looks shocked. Then he looks at Selina. Then he tells Damian, I'm getting there. Then Damian says, we don't have extra horses. We'll have to ride 2 per. This heat should be about 14 miles. Then Grayson says, I have it at 15. Then Damian replies, no, it's 14. Then Grayson says, okay, Damian. Then Damian says to Bruce, also, while you were inside, did you happen to see Mother? Then Selina tells Damian, she stabbed your father in the back, so I stabbed her in the back. Then Damian replies, I see. Well, the more things change. And that ends today's story. Comic published by DC Comics. All rights, story art, and characters belong to DC Comics and their respective owners. Not me. This has been Batman 35, The Rules of Engagement Part 3, and I'm your host, Keith One Shot. If you like this video, make sure to check out the rest of my Comic Complete dramatic reading series and support DC Comics by picking up a copy of the trades and single issue comics. Support your local comic book shop. Take care and have a great day. Goodbye.